like unonditarisira pasi pese pantoedza kukufadza auzvibodi kuswera uchinditoka semba andizvikoni zvatanga ini zvekutukana. I used to love your character, ichiti mwari baba kwandiri une favor. Tipe rudo, daily. Pese bando kanganiza auti regere. Uoswera wakandifinya mira pesu chiti unehede. Shaka tanga ini Pekunyepera. I used to love you. Ichiti mwari baba, this is a match made in heaven. Your character, Tiperudo. Soni baya, Tiperudo.
Mabondi notes, toda kuuza mabondi notes munyika, toda kuuza mabondi notes. Ana anofunga kuti kutonge nyika kutonge mamhatso dzawo here dzaanonga aitonga madzimai. Munhu akati bii nemukadzi mumhatso mumuka mangwani moti nyamashi ndakuchiche dore mhatso ndoisaba ndo mutongero munoita nyika wo. Kudai kuri kuti ikonomi yenyika necurrency yenyika inondoramba kuzwi ndoda kutogadzira mari yangu yakafanana neUS dollar. Taida tichitambudzika here. Kwa hino maendelei pa US dollar madini kugadzira yakafanana neKuwait dina inoite 1:3.6 US dollar. Motogadzira zve the strongest currency. Kana mwaremba kutonga nyika musikakoni kurana economy, garai pashi munogara pashi mwanokona kutrana economy orana economy. Haikona kuite zviro zvenyu zvekurota mwakaata kumamhatso kwenyu mweya mwoda kuimposa zviro panyika. Mwaremba endai mwata mwazwa. Atidi zviro zvisina shwiro zvokusora mweiti nyangadza mweigadzira mabondi notes. Imari dzaanhu dzamwe nyika muri kutonga nyika ina anhu. Haikona musi kutonga nyika ina anhu asika ane misoro isikafungi. Kana musikachadi zvokutonga nyika ibvaipo pazvigaripo. Kana mweiti kwai mwakatosunungura nyika endai mwoisungira pamuti pacho mwakaitsura muone kuti tinoisiya iri kweli.
Zvisinei muri Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for choosing Zimnet Radio and for tuning in Last week, we were discussing something very interesting about the hiking of school fees back home in Zimbabwe, especially in those private schools there. And also with asking questions, what is driving parents to opt for private schools in Zimbabwe there, yet we've got government schools there. It was very, amicable debate, and we posted it on Facebook and we posted it on YouTube, and also it's all you can get it on our podcast. If you haven't downloaded our mobile app yet, please go and do that. It's Zimnet Radio, and you can have the app on your gadgets, your iPhones, your iPads, and all the like. And all the podcasts are there. If you miss any show, you can always listen it from there. Right, it is the 19th of January 2017. Also, shall I start by saying commiseration to our boys? They lost to Senegal earlier on today by 2-0. But I must say, I watched the whole game. They tried hard, but at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough. It is not the end of the road. They've got another game to play. Win that, and who knows, they might progress to the next round of the tournament, which is being currently going on there in Gabon. And also, we are hearing that rains, mvura yanyanya ku Zimbabwe. There's a lot of rain for there, and record rain have been pouring down. Whether that is good for us or not, I don't know. A lot of people are just fearing that, there might be this waterborne disease is now coming by, and our hospitals, the state of our health there is not the greatest. And one hopes kuti maybe mvura ichamboita subside a little bit, kuitira kuti vanorima vaya varime zvavo, and also not bringing more problems to where problems are already. Let me welcome the panel that we've got here today. I know some people are still on their way coming, but anyhow, that's how it goes. Shall we start with people that normally don't come to the show? Savannah, welcome to the show.
Hello, hi, Makadi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Would you like to introduce yourself for some people who don't know you? Because I was telling some of my listeners that you'll be on show today, and people were asking me, who is Savannah? Who are you?
Oh, I don't expect them to know me. I'm just an ordinary citizen who is Zimbabwe. I'm New York up.
New York up. Okay. Thank you so much. So you are Zimbabwean, but you now reside in America, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's fine. Thank you so much. I know that America is the land of money, and if you want money, you fly to America. Is that right?
That's a dream being sold.
Is it? Okay. Maybe they are not telling me the truth there.
It's a dream sold. You kana mine nyika yenyu munotengesa.
Yes.
Vision yenyu yamuruda kuti vanhu vaone kuti Zimbabwe ndo zvairi mobvuma mogadzirisa nyika yenyu moisa picture yenyu apo. And people will buy into it.
Okay. No, that's fine. Sally, welcome to the show.
Thank you, DJ Sote. Good evening, DJ Sote. Good evening, Savannah. Welcome to our panel. My sympathy on Donald Trump's inauguration tomorrow.
Right.
Good evening, Elliot, and good evening, Mukanya, and good evening, Maisekuru, when you come on, and good evening, Zimbabweans, wherever you are. I hope you've had a good and peaceful day.
Thank you so much, Sally. How is South Africa? There, I heard in Zimbabwe lots and lots of rain, and you were telling me that there's no rain there. What's happening?
Yeah, we're in trouble. We're going through one of our worst droughts. So I think Cape Town has got something like 100 days left of water because our dams are so low. You see, our winter is our rainy season. So we didn't have much rain during the winter, so we kind of knackered. So
Okay.
Zimbabwe, send the rain this side.
Okay, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sally. Mkoma Elliot, welcome to the show.
Good evening, DJ Sotsa. Good evening, Sally. Good evening, Savannah. Good evening. Vatezvara vangu mukanya makadi muri eZimbabwe kumativi mana ese nyika kwamuri.
Aha, aiwa. Tinofara chose. Were you watching the game, Vapepe?
No, I missed it.
You missed it.
Ndanga nditi busy zvekuti.
Ah, all right.
Ndangozoona zvangu the regrets.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you so much.
That is I suppose it was a fight that was, but it was to be expected. They tried, but you know.
Yeah, someone was alluding to the fact that Senegal are ranked first in number 1 team in Africa, and we are number 30. So really, you kind of not expect much there. Thank you so much, Mukanya. Welcome to the show. How is Canada tonight? Today, it's afternoon there, isn't it?
Kuno kuMascot machena. Ndazwa mukwacha wangu achirova gusi haagona. Zvinogudzwa.
Aiwa. Thank you so much, Mukanya, for being here with us. Savannah, can I start? Savannah, can I? Mugati?
Hamuna kuona message yandakakutumidzira here iyo Sawira wedu yakashayirwa namai vakewo.
Oh, no, I didn't get any message.
No.
Yes, I sent you the message
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yes.
about Benford.
I got it from Sally. Hey, nematambudziko Mukanya ndimakadziona.
Dzakaonekwa idzi.
How is he feeling? Did he fly back home or?
Anga achangobva kumusha.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just come back.
Namai vacho.
Oh. But at least. Oh, come on.
Our sympathies and strength to Benford,
Yeah.
and may his mum rest in peace.
Zvakaoma sure. That's our way. Zvinonzi ndiyo nzira yedu tose handiti. Yeah, there's nothing we can do on that, but our condolences to Mukoma Benford. He is one of us here on Zimnet Radio. So we always want to make it a family here, and chairman name Mukoma Benford. I know that you might be listening out there, or maybe you listen to this on our podcast there. We send our condolences. Now, Savannah, can I start with you there? Savannah, today I want to talk about the diaspora vote. I mean, I might sound as if I'm negative here, but I'm just wondering, can we put our resources towards diaspora vote? Is diaspora vote going to change anything in Zimbabwe? Or maybe someone might argue to me and say it is a symbolic thing and it is our right to vote. Whether it's 5 people who are going to vote, but it is our right to vote. What's your take on this diaspora vote? Some people are saying that it doesn't really matter, but some people are saying it does matter. Which side of the fence are you?
For me, it's very simple. Unless you have given up your rights as a Zimbabwean and you say, I'm no longer interested in Zimbabwe, I've taken up citizenship elsewhere, and I've moved on, Zimbabwe, by, and you've closed the door, then it doesn't really matter. But if you are like me and everybody else who still hopes and dreams of going back home, you still have your interest in Zimbabwe, then you still want your rights. It doesn't matter where you are, because I haven't given up on my rights. For those who have moved on, yeah, fair and square, they can say that. But have you moved on? Are you part of the process? Do you have family in Zimbabwe? Do you want to see things change? Do you want to be part of the process? That's the way you can be part of the process. if you give up on part of your rights, which voting is a huge part of your rights, you cannot change anything without voting, because this is the process that we want.
Right.
We do want to make changes, but we want through the ballot, peaceful. So for someone like me who looks at peaceful ways of changing things, this is the only way, and I cannot give up on my rights.
You cannot give up on your rights there. It is clear that you would like to see the diaspora vote, people in the diaspora given the chance to cast their vote, because it is their right.
Yes, it is. And if I may add, we do have a show that we launched, and it's a platform called Solution Talk, where we actually share ideas as Zimbabweans, and we try to inspire positive action to change things or to get things done. So on our last show, we did seek to understand what the Constitution says when it comes to our votes as in diaspora. So we invited Advocate Fadai Mahere, who specializes in the Constitution, in constitutional law. And she did explain to us, because those are the things that people wanted to find out. Are we allowed to vote? Where are we as diaspora in terms of our vote?
And what was the answer to that?
So the answer is that we are allowed to vote from the diaspora.
Is that in the Constitution?
Yes, it's in the Constitution, and the government has never denied us to vote from the diaspora. But the issue is that the government says they do not have resources to allocate us that right to vote from the diaspora or to register from the diaspora, because right now we know we need to re-register for the coming up elections. So the government does not have those resources, but we do have our right to vote. That has not been taken away from us. So that's where people need to understand. We are allowed to vote from the diaspora, but the issue is there are no resources to be allocated for that.
So Savannah, are you telling me that the government is not to blame for all these years that we people in the diaspora haven't been voting, simply because they haven't got the resources to facilitate us casting our votes?
You know what? Blaming ain't going to help us, but what I can say is that partly we as citizens are to blame, because we never did demand for our rights. We did not take the government to task and say, hey, you do need to participate in the vote, because we were not participating. So it was never raised. People were not really pushing for it. Now that people want to push for it, let's move it, let's push it. Let's see what we can do. Maybe the government will allocate. Because maybe there is need if they find out that there are many people who do want to participate. Because maybe it hadn't been necessary because not a lot of people wanted to participate.
Okay.
Those are things that we need to look at.
That's the things we need to look at. Okay, Savannah, I want you to hold on there. I know that you've got some information, or maybe one of your colleagues there have got some information that you want to give Avanu, so that for those who wants to participate, they can follow that link and you can connect them, so that people can, if people want to push this diaspora vote, there's a platform that they can follow to push it on. But I want you to hold on there. What's your take on the issue of diaspora vote? You have resided in the diaspora for many years yourself. Can I ask you why you're not casting your vote, and what's the reason why you're not? I remember Sekuru flying to Zimbabwe in 2013 simply to cast a vote, to come back to Birmingham there. So I'm just wondering, what's your take on this, Imimi Wapepe?
I think first and foremost, I welcome the initiative, and just a correction there. In 2013, not only did I go to Zimbabwe to cast my vote, but that I was a candidate. So that's how passionate I am about my country. So I was a candidate in 2013.
Okay.
And that was Bindura North constituency. Yes, just to echo what Savannah has said, it is not a privilege for us to be registered as voters or to cast our vote. It is our right. I would like also to make it to clarify one or two things. It is a right in the new constitution, which was passed in 2018 by a referendum, a process to which over 96% of the people of Zimbabwe voted. So 96% of the people of Zimbabwe gave us that right. And it is us who should exercise that right. If we don't exercise the right, then of course that right eventually will fall away. But the old constitution did not, this is why you find that not many people did vote outside the country. Not only that, but that this campaign was never there in the old constitution, because that right was only restricted to people posted on government mission. That is the old constitution. But in the new constitution, we are allowed. So it has been extended to Zimbabweans who are citizens, both by birth and by descent, who are outside the country. And I strongly believe that we Zimbabweans outside the country, if we can come together, unite, and this excuse by ZANU-PF that they don't have resources. I mean, if you look at the elections of 2018, they are not being sponsored by the government of Zimbabwe. They are being sponsored by UNDP. UNDP can, and if we approach it, the only problem in Zimbabwe is saying they only need money for elections in Zimbabwe. They are not extending their budget outside the country. It's not their money, it's the United Nations. And we can actually lobby. But if we don't lobby, of course, we will be at the mess of people like Nick Mangwana. Nick Mangwana flies to Masvingo, purporting to represent the entire diasporan community. And he said that people in the diaspora, yes, although they are supposed to vote, but we are not ready to vote. And this is ZANU-PF telling at their own conference and telling the leadership of ZANU-PF that we are not ready.
And where did Mangwana did that survey to suggest that diaspora don't want to vote?
Yeah, indeed, of course, there is that fear, isn't it, of a backlash. That the reason why the very people who are outside the country, it was not a pulling factor, it was a pushing factor away from Zimbabwe. And the same pushing factor will have the repercussions to the outcome of the elections from the diaspora. And this is where their fear is. Yeah, and I think we have to be crystal clear on that and demand our right. If we don't demand our right, then ZANU-PF will be more than happy to pretend business is as usual.
Okay, let's put it clear, Wafeve. You are talking to some people who have got no clue about the ruling of any country politically. They're just novice when it comes to politics. You are telling us here that the money that is used by the government, or should we say, for arranging the voting of the people in Zimbabwe there, this is not coming from the pocket of the taxpayer, but it's coming from outside.
Is this one for 2018? Yes, the preparations for the 2018 elections.
Yes.
And including the biometric system, the whole process is being funded by UNDP, United Nations.
It is the responsibility of our government to ask for more funds so that they can facilitate diaspora vote. Yes or no on that?
Yes. The way it works is that the government will actually put together a budget, a projected budget, on how much it will cost to run the elections. And they might deliberately in the budget leave the diaspora. And this is exactly what is going to happen. But if they put the budget of the diaspora with the projected figures of how it will cost to register people in the diaspora based on estimated numbers of Zimbabwe in those respective countries, then the United Nations, being what it is, it will be able to fund.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you shortly then. Sally, do you think this is a motion that can happen?
DJ Sods, I want to take your mind back to when we first started doing politics on this show.
Yeah.
And I want you to remember how many times over the years the people have been complaining about the diasporian vote. I mean, this is not the first time that it's been brought up. I can remember when we first started the show all those years back, people phoning in and complaining, why can't we vote in the diaspora? We need the diasporian vote. The government won't give it to us. That was the old constitution.
Sally, I'm now being told that the previous constitution didn't incorporate the diaspora vote. But I'm told now this new constitution can.
Yeah, but the people back then were already fighting to try and get the diasporian vote. I can remember that. Okay.
Yes.
Now this one, you see, a constitution is just a piece of paper. When it becomes real is when the people understand what there is available to them and they use it. Okay? And this, I mean, this diasporian vote, okay? Of course the government's not going to say anything about it. All right? I mean, it's to their disadvantage as far as they're concerned. Okay? So we need people to spread the word. We need people to explain exactly what is involved. Okay? And we need people to approach the UN because the government isn't going to do it. You see, this is something we've got to understand. Okay? When we sit back and put our wishes and our hopes in politicians, we end up with Donald Trumps and Mugabe's. Okay? We can't do that. We, the people, are the ones that put these politicians where they are. And we, the people, must hold them accountable in every way that we possibly can. Okay? Because they are there to serve us. They aren't there to steal as much as they can, kill people, cause absolute mayhem, and just destroy a country. No. They are there because we, the people, the povo, put them there. Now, the Constitution gives us the right to vote in the diaspora. Okay? Now, we need people, okay, to approach the UN and get the funding for us. Because, you know, it's not just a handful of people in the diaspora that want to vote, that can't. There are thousands of people that can't go home because they don't have the money. Okay? Or they can't go home at that specific time because that's not when they have leave. So they denied their basic human right, which is to vote. And they denied it because the government doesn't want to be fair, okay, and care for its citizens.
Sally.
So what do? We, the people, take it into our hands. We get help and we get guidance of what we have to do, and we do it. And we do it now. 2018 is just down the road. It's not far away.
Right. Okay. Sally, thank you so much. We've got a caller there. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, this is Dr. Dengere. I'm sorry I'm so late. I had to The time change confused me.
That's fine, Dr. Ndere. Welcome to the show. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from the U.S., and I was supposed to be talking about the diaspora petition, and I know Promise and Savannah must have already said some things about the petition that we started.
Yes. We wanted you to explain to our listeners what petition have you started and how far are you with that petition? Where can people sign this petition? These are the questions we want you to clarify.
Okay, so the petition is on change.org. We will share the link with you so that you can share it with your listeners, but we've put it up on Twitter and Facebook. And the petition basically, it's a call to the Zimbabwean government to legalize external voting. And this petition is not unique to Zimbabwe. So recent forms of success where the diaspora has demanded external votes from the government include the success of the Nigerian diaspora. So Nigerians living abroad can now vote externally from wherever they are in the world at their embassies. The Kenyan diaspora is now able to vote externally as well. And my favorite example is Mozambicans who are living abroad. So in their last election, Mozambicans living in Harare could actually vote at their Harare embassy. So this is not unique to us at all. And right now we had, last I checked, we had about 258 signatures, and we want to get more. I think the last Kenyan petition that I saw had over 800 people, and some had over 1,000 people. And we know there are more than 1 million people in the diaspora. So we want as many people who believe that they have the right to vote from abroad to sign the petition.
Now, when this petition is signed, where are you guys going to take it to?
We're going to take it to the Zimbabwean government, as we say in the petition, and hopefully this will be a part of a larger conversation that the diaspora will have with the government. So in July last year, 2016, when the Minister of Finance released their budget, one of the things that he said was that diaspora remittances were lower than expected, right? The Zimbabwean diaspora has been sending over $2 billion a year back home. And we know that our government values our remittances. Our money is more than FDI, which is foreign direct investment. Zimbabwe is not getting foreign direct investment as much as they're getting remittances. So the government is definitely eager to get money from us. And so as the diaspora, we're saying, look, let's have a fair conversation. We want to invest in our country, right? But we can't invest if we're not able to vote. And so the government will push back and say, well, if you guys want to be engaged, you can come home and vote. But look, if we're going to spend all of our money traveling back to Zimbabwe, that means less remittances, right? If we're going to pay $2,000, $3,000 to travel back home just to vote, that means less remittances. But more importantly,
I just wanted to ask you a question before you go any further. We've got lots of time. I just wanted to ask you a question. Hand on heart, do you think that you can do this petition, hand it over to people like Kasukuwere and his people, and Jonathan Moyo, and you think they'll even blink after looking at that petition?
I think that as Zimbabweans over the last year, we have proved that we have more power than we've ever imagined before. Let's talk just recently, the Data Must Fall, right? That was a campaign motivated by Zimbabweans. Today, or was it yesterday, there was a video circulating of Kasukuwere and Dr. Parerinyatwa visiting Bare. Now, I've spoken to a lot of Zimbabweans and I've said, when was the last time we saw government officials going to places like Mbare? Almost never. They don't do that. They don't do that if it's not an election. But as Zimbabweans, we've said, look, we want you to show up. You're going to ask for a vote. We want you to show up. So I 100% believe in democracy, and I believe maybe 200% in the power of Zimbabweans to demand action. Our constitution.
I know what you're doing is a good initiative, but what would you say to a fellow Zimbabwean who is telling me right now as we speak on my other gadgets that, DJ, we need to first of all sort out the voters' roll and all that before we even start thinking about this voting? Because at the end of the day, if the voters' roll is wrong, even a diaspora vote will not change anything.
And I can talk a lot about the voters' roll. I could encourage people to go and read my dissertation, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
So instead, I'll summarize and say, look, there are many problems with the voters' roll. Any voters' roll, right? But we don't separate the two conversations because our ability to register to vote, that will happen simultaneously with the biometric voters' roll that the government is doing. So I think when Zimbabweans are thinking about these issues, they are thinking that they're separate, but they're not. Right?
Okay.
Think about it. It's not separate, right? Registering the diaspora is as easy as making it possible at our embassies. We are in countries that have advanced biometric systems. So that's not a problem. In some of the issues with the voters' roll, so for example, anyone who was born before 1980, was automatically put in the voters' roll when independence time came. So these changes are not impossible. And I understand people's concerns that the voters' roll is going to be inflated, that there are going to be issues. But look, we are better off participating in the process and getting registered whilst it's going on. So people are seeking money from the UN. I was reading that IFES is very interested in engaging Zimbabwe and assisting with the voters' roll. But the diaspora, if the government is saying, look, we need money to be able to register you guys to vote, and we are sending $2 billion a year to Zimbabwe, we can put our money where our efforts are. So it's not impossible. The two things go hand in hand.
Okay, fine. Okay.
DJ, can I help also the caller who?
Yeah, it's Dr. Dendere. Is that right? Dr. Dendere there with us.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the person who texted you about the voters' roll.
Okay.
I think people out there, Zimbabweans, need to know that yes, with the shambolic voters' roll, well, ever since our electoral process from 1980 up to 2013, but people need to know that now with the biometric system that is being introduced, the whole voters' roll is starting afresh. So there is deregistration of everybody. So as far as the voters' roll, there are no people on the voters' roll. Does it make sense? Okay? So the voters' roll, once it's open for registration, it will be fresh registration. For those who are not going to be registered,
we have listened to better music. We have seen better things. We've been to it all. Zimnet Radio all the way.
In 2018. That's the process that we are facing now. The other issue about petition to the government, it is a noble idea that we make as much noise as possible. But remember, the government is not in denial that the diasporans has the right to vote under the new constitution of 2013. They are not in denial. What they are saying is that they do not have resources to extend the voting process and registration to the diasporans. So any petition, they will say, we are not denying that you should vote, but where is the money? That's exactly what the government will be saying. And unless our strategy is to say, here is the money, or then we engage with the UNDP, which is providing the funding, then we'll still go back.
I disagree.
Can I finish?
Okay. Yeah.
Kasukuwere going to Mbare, ZANU-PF going to Mbare. That is nothing to do with the people demanding that the ministers go to Mbare. You will see quite a lot of these things in 2017. This is they've already started campaigning. We saw this with the bundles, the mobile bundles. And Kasukuwere came on as if he is a savior. Yet it is the same ZANU-PF government which caused that mayhem. And you will see this quite a lot as we go into 2018. ZANU-PF has never changed to such an extent that it is the listening ear. And this is where we are.
Okay.
Contribution.
Okay. Sorry, please hold on there. Mukoma Wilbert, I know you've got something that you want to contribute as well there. Mukoma Wilbert, welcome to the show. Good evening to you, my brother.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I think this debate is an interesting one. But I think the person who sent you a message there asking whether this is we should be
focusing on this
into the diaspora vote is really has got a point. The thing here is that Zimbabwe elections have been rigged repeatedly in the past. And much more so, people like Feve will tell you in 2013, where people in Zimbabwe found themselves who had gone through everything. They should be on the voters' roll, or they thought they were on the voters' roll. On day of voting, they found they were not on the voters' roll. And then ZANU-PF was passing in its supporters to vote. So the problem, I think, in this particular case, I would say the diaspora vote is the second step. The first step is let's put pressure on the regime to make sure that elections are free, fair, and credible. And that has not been done. And as long as the ZANU-PF is able to rig the elections, if they were to rig next year's elections, we are back to where we are now. And they say, therefore, then the most important job at the present moment is to make sure that elections are free, fair, and credible. And right now we've got by-elections in Bikita West. And the Maduku's guy there in that by-election on Tuesday, him and his manager were apparently beaten up and left for dead. That is how violent the system is. And the people there, if anyone was following on the internet and articles, people were being threatened. They were being told, if you vote for anybody else, ZANU-PF will deny you food. This is the real pressure that people feel. If you're in the rural area, if you had a relative in that constituency and you were to speak to them on the phone, you can understand why they would say, I'll vote ZANU-PF. Whether they like it or not, they'll see themselves in a situation where they vote for somebody else and they are denied food aid. And even during the campaign, ZANU-PF was giving ZANU-PF supporters food aid. And if they know they are MDC or any opposition supporter, you were denied. This is the reality in Zimbabwe. And if we don't address the vote rigging and that kind of violent way of winning elections, I think we will be where we are right now. Whether or not we get diaspora vote is really secondary.
Right. Mukoma Wilbert, we've got another caller there, but I want to ask you a question, Mukoma Wilbert. Let's say 2018 and people, these people who are campaigning for us to have a vote in the diaspora, they've managed to persuade the government, they've managed for us to go to the embassy there in London to vote. Would you go and cast your vote? even with the doubts of the rigging and all that, would you go there as a symbolic thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, voting. I think is absolutely important, and I 100% support it. Your vote is your only way of having a democratic say in the governance of the country. But when your vote is being systematically denied to the point where you find what happened in 2008, where MDC Changirai got 73% of the vote in the March vote by Mugabe's own admission, although it was he didn't mean to admit it. And then you find the ZEC are asked to recount, and they've spent 5 weeks recounting, and at the end of it they say, oh, Changirai has got 47. You can see immediately that the point here is not so much that we vote, but that the vote should be, people should have the confidence that what we are being told is the result, is the true reflection of the people's wishes, rather than what Mugabe has already predetermined. Okay. Because, we can all register to vote and give the opposition another 73% next year. But at the end of the day, ZANU-PF with SEC, they count it and they say, oh, no, it's ZANU-PF that got 63%.
Okay.
Because they've got all the systems in their control. That is what we've got to address.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mkoma Wilbert. Right, Zimbabwe, if you're just joining us here, this is the Men's Corner Show. My name is DJ Soza, Zimnet Radio. All you got to do is download our app, Zimnet Radio, and you can listen to our shows. Now, on the panel today, I've got Sally Spencer there in South Africa. I've got Comrade Elliot Pepe in UK. I also got guests here today. I've got Dr. Chipo Lendere there in America. And also, I've got Savannah Madam Mombe here in New York, isn't it? That's the posh part of America, I'm told. And I've got another caller there. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, my brother. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from the Sunshine State of Florida.
Fabulous indeed. And your name is?
My name is Promise Sunday.
Promise Sunday. And I'm sure you want to talk about the diaspora vote?
Yes, definitely. My contribution to this discussion is this.
Yeah.
I think for us that are on this panel and for most people that may be listening, I think we all know, Kuti, our biggest disadvantage in Zimbabwe is we have had a disengaged citizen. As citizens of Zimbabwe, we have been so disengaged from our political system. And this is mainly because ZANU-PF has made the politics of our country so dirty and smelly, such that ordinary citizens actually don't want to jump into the fray of politics and to participate. And we know that they've done this. They've gone to pollute this political space so that civil citizens like some of us, would shun politics so much. And whenever we shun politics, guess what? They're the only ones that remain within that political circle, and they can pollute it as much as they want, and they can come back and they can impose all the policies that they want. So the change that we are seeing now is that as Zimbabwean citizens, we are saying, tear gas masks. We are getting those tear gas masks. We are putting them on our nose, and we don't care how much ZANU-PF is going to make our politics smell. But we are going to jump into that political circle, and we are going to participate. So, in that regard, you find, Kuti, when ordinary citizens finally blocked their nose and said, politics, and we are going to participate, then ZANU-PF all of a sudden starts to wake up and starts to realize that the citizens are getting more involved and are getting more participatory. So these people do not want us to participate in the politics of our country. That's one thing that we have to understand. These people have instilled so much fear such that a Zimbabwean who's in Florida is so afraid to talk about politics in Zimbabwe because they think with the This is how they polluted our politics political space. And we are saying, as citizens, we have had enough of that. This is a season for citizen engagement. And we are going to engage in the political process of Zimbabwe, home and away. And right now, when you look at it, when you look at the numbers back home, first of all, let's talk about the diaspora and how important the diaspora is. The diaspora in 2012 remitted $655 million back into Zimbabwe. In 2013, the diaspora remitted $763 million into Zimbabwe. In 2014, the diaspora remitted $590 million. And Chibata, at this point, I want you to captivate this point. Between 2014 and 2015, in 2014, the diaspora remitted $590 million, but in 2015, the diaspora remitted $1.2 billion into Zimbabwe. That is a 97% increase in diaspora remittances. So what does this tell you? It tells you that when the country is on its knees, we come and rescue this country called Zimbabwe. I refuse and I get infuriated so much when Mugabe and his ministers and his courts, they minimize the diaspora. And you cannot minimize the constituents of the citizenry that is actually propping up your economy. And we cannot sit on the sidelines as a diaspora and think that our remittances do not matter, because we are the people that are moving this economy. All these shenanigans that we are seeing from ZANU-PF wanting to incentivize remittances and Makatumira 100
and you get a 5%.
To talk about 105 bond notes. It's because they understand the economy, and some people don't understand how their remittances are important. Wakatumira $1,000 iweyo kumusha. $1,000 iweyo vabereki vako vachanotenga kwa TM, vachabatirwa VAT, vachanobhadhara mutero yemotikari, vachanobhadhara. Saka all those taxes, an economy is supposed to get those taxes from employment. But because there is no employment, then the diaspora remittances become the source of funds that they can tax. Every single dollar that you send into Zimbabwe, but somewhere, somehow, your parents are paying back. Your parents are paying my government taxes. They are paying for utilities for your house to run. So, we are maintaining the economy back home. Diaspora should wake up and realize, this is how our remittances are being used. And remind the diaspora.
And can I jump in?
Right. Okay. Please hold on. I want to go back to Savannah there. Savannah, are you still with us? Yes. Yeah. Thanks very much for your patience there. You wanted to add something on what other, panelists were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, understanding everything that everybody is saying right now to be each indoor priority, we must also understand the target date that Takatarisa is 2018. So we cannot work on one single item and then move to the next. So right now, as we speak, there is not one single item that's more priority than the other. All the above is priority. Okay. And we can do everything running on parallel, because we are so many of us. This is why we are all coming in on different angles. Rano we are vachita ma petition, vari push a petition yao, vachaenda kuita log in, vachita whatever it is that we can do. Some of us, our purpose, what we are doing as Solution Talk, is to get the citizen fired up again and get involved. Like Promise was saying, my citizen Edu had for the longest, including all of us, we had gone in a slumber, but we are just beginning to wake up, and there's a lot we have to do to get people to understand that we have to participate. We have to hold not only ourselves accountable, we also have to hold the government. You can't hold the government accountable without holding yourself accountable. That does not work. It's not a one-way street. We have to participate. And the problems, including Is it our fault with artistic voter? It's a two-way street where we are not participating, the government takes advantage of that. When we go into the city is filthy. Why is the city filthy? Because we are throwing things on the floor and we are waiting for the government to clean up, and it's not cleaning up. So,
amen.
How do we move forward when we are not participating and being responsible and holding ourselves accountable? Let's jump in. Let's do all the things that need to be done on all levels, including if there is a way of getting our government to the UN or whatever it is that you want to do, then bring all the solutions together. Let's push everything. Let's get it done. That's what we need to do.
Thank you so much, Savannah. Yes, I've got something very important there. You are saying that if Sally comes up and say, listen guys, fight for a diaspora vote, and Elliot comes and say, right guys, I'm going to fight for the voters' roll, and someone comes, we cannot say this is priority. Everything is priority at the moment.
Of course, because we don't have the time. If we had, you see, look, someone was talking about the elections being rigged. Yeah, I can even go further and say to you, we have allowed it to be rigged already by allowing the biometrics or the voters' roll to be changed right now. They could have changed it to the last elections, but they didn't want to. Guess why? Because now that the diaspora has come up and say, oh, we want to participate, guess who gets thrown out of the voters' roll and who is unable to go back home and vote? It's the diaspora. And who is the diaspora likely to vote for? So, one, ZANU-PF 1, Citizens 0 already. So, but just because we lose 1 point does not mean you stop. You keep pushing until you have your checklist. Item number 1 until all items are checked. We got to keep moving. We cannot stop just because we lost 1.
Exactly.
We have to keep moving.
Oh, all right.
Exactly.
Dr. Dendere, you... Okay, go ahead, Mkoma, a little bit.
Yeah, I think I agree with Savannah at this point of, if we can chase all the hairs, let's chase them. But in this particular instance, what we are talking about here is a situation where ZANU-PF has already said it's not going to implement any democratic reforms. For the simple reason that implementing the reforms means they are reforming themselves out of government, which is something that they will never do. So that is where the real fight is, and whether we like it or not, if they rig the elections, even if they give the vote and the biometric, I think I agree with what Savannah is saying. It has got it's a modern system which can be used for good if you have got the will to do so. But with the regime that is used to rigging elections, they may even use it to deny even more people the vote. So at the end of the day, we have lost out. But I think it is important in this particular instance that we realize if we do not get free and fair elections, everything else, even if we get it, it will count to nothing. And that is the reality of it. And that's why that has got to be the biggest fight. We've got to win it. And if we lose that one, we've lost everything else.
We've lost everything else. Okay, thank you. Sally, you wanted to add something there?
Yeah, I'm so tired of hearing this, bring in the reforms. The reforms aren't going to solve anything, okay? ZANU-PF, you see, you've got to wake up to this, okay? You can bring in 50 million reforms, okay? If ZANU-PF doesn't want to uphold those reforms, it's not going to do it. You can legalize them, you can put them in parliament, you can put them onto billboards, okay? If ZANU-PF wants to rig, it will rig, I promise you. No reform is going to stop them. What we have to do is get the diasporian vote, and it has to be done now because it's going to take time to process it, to put it before the UN, get the funding and all that, okay? The reform thing is being fought by other people. Let them fight that. This business of saying, no, well, this is more important than that. No. Everything is equal. It needs to be all done. there are stacks of groups that are doing stacks of different things, and that is how it must be. The most important thing is educating the voter back home.
Right.
Educating the rural area. That is the powerhouse of ZANU-PF. Once that can be infiltrated and people can be re-educated, simply you speak to them like human beings with respect and with dignity, okay? And you help them to understand just how important their vote is.
Okay.
Once that rural area can be infiltrated, you're away.
Okay. All right.
You are away.
Okay. Goma Elliot?
Yeah, I wanted to say I 100% agree na Savannah on the approach and my strategies to be used. That we cannot have draw up some priorities to say let's all focus on one thing. I think this election is going to be a more faceted one, and it's going to be a do or die. Those who can actually focus on diaspora vote, let's support them. Those who can focus on making sure that the voters' roll is as clean as possible, let's support them. I think it's a multifaceted approach. But there's one thing that I need also to comment in terms of reforms. I think it's a matter of discourse of the language that we are using. The moment you say let's call for reforms, I think this is where it confuses a lot of people. They would think we want another constitution or want to change the constitution of the 2013, right? But what we must say is not that we are demanding reform, but that we are demanding the implementation of the constitution of 2013. Because all these that we are talking about in terms of the electoral, free and fair elections, etc., the provisions are there in the constitution. What is missing is that ZANU-PF is not implementing. It has no goodwill to implement the constitution of 2013. That was overwhelmingly voted 96% by the people of Zimbabwe. Instead, they are actually cherry-picking certain provisions that sort of suit their own strategies in terms of rigging the elections. So yes, I think that is what we must demand. That yes, where is the 2013 election? Constitution, sorry. That must be implemented. And they will say they don't have money. But is that a genuine excuse? We know it's not.
Right.
So that is what we must always demand.
Okay, right. Thank you so much. Lots and lots of people are calling in to participate. That's very kind and very nice. This is what we are advocating for people to participate. Kukana Toko, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know what had happened earlier on there, but welcome back. What would you like to say on this diaspora vote?
In maonera angu ndeyekuti it's a good initiative, but dambudziko ratinoita maZimbabwe ndeyekuti tiri kungoti apa tikaruma apa toruma apo toruma, and I understand Mr. Feveza kuti it has to be multifaceted Nikiri, the way of approaching. Agenda iripo right now iwani inofana kuti vanhu vese vabatane ndeyekuti kuunzwe mumwe mutongo munyowani munyika. Zvekuti uyo azovhota ari papapo, uyo azovhota ari kwaChirumanzu, haina ndioni kuti zvinobatsira at this moment, because the bottom line ndeyekuti vanhu vakavhotera MDC in 2008, the 75% the votes were not recognized. Saka whether diaspora yavhota ruviri rutatu, it doesn't mean anything to me. And zvimwe zvamunofanira kuziva kuti madiaspora kana vachifighta for vote, I know the Americans vane system yandakaona unovhota but unobhadharawo tax. So your vote comes also with a responsibility yekuti vanhu vezana vanoti kuti okay muda kuvhota mubhadharawo tax, and then tax iya vakunotora vachiita because all these things they come with a responsibility. And vaitombosajesa yekuti vanhu kudiaspora munofanira kubhadhara tax. So
Mukanya. No, Mukanya, let's have a conversation, Mukanya. You are telling me that people in the diaspora may not be given the opportunity to vote simply because they do not pay taxes in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Let's get that clear.
Yeah, but that tax, why would you like to vote? Saka, at the same time,
but it's the constitution. It's in our constitution.
Yeah, I know it's in the constitution, but your vote should come with a responsibility. Saka, you can defend nyika yako yauri kunika, then you might take. But on the bottom line, we should focus on removing utongi uriyo. Ezvekuti uyu abika kapoto kake pano pachuru apo. I think we are wasting time and giving.
Okay, Mukanya. I think pane vada kupindura yapo. Dr. Dendera.
Yes. So fundamentally, elections are a numbers game, right? Elections are a numbers game.
They are not they are not a numbers game. The MDC won by 75% and they lost elections in 2008.
I'm not done.
But I think MDC refused to take up their winning.
Can I finish? Right? When you are fighting a regime like ZANU-PF, which is not unique, right? Zimbabweans think that ZANU-PF is the first government to stay in power for a long time. The LDP in Japan was in power for 72 years. The PRI in Mexico was in power for 42 years. Now you go back to the elections where those two parties lost. What was critical was not people just showing up, but people showing up in huge numbers. It was a coalition of the opposition. So when people say that voting doesn't matter, you are missing the mark. Voting does matter because even dictators, right? Dictators, the worst of them all today, they want people to vote. That's why they rig elections. That's why they rig numbers in their favor. But like someone said, and let me tell you something. When we look at Zimbabwean elections, one of the things that we find is that there is a relationship between the diaspora leaving and ZANU-PF staying in power. Because the people that left, the urbanites, the young, the politically engaged people, those were the people that were going to vote for the opposition, right? Not all of them were going to vote for the opposition, but that was going to increase the numbers of the people voting against ZANU-PF. So Zimbabwe is not unique. And when people talk about violence...
We are not saying Zimbabwe is not unique, Anja. Zimbabwe, yes, it's not unique. The problem that Tringotaura ndeyekuti kana muchigwa kugwa, I don't think zvamuri kuita zvakaipa, but vanotaura kuti haikona kuita mufiro webenzi, because what you do is unongozvidhumisa kuti rega ndirovere pauri maybe richadonha, maybe richaramba rakadaro.
But that's not what we are doing. We are tying, you've spoken about taxes. We are tying our financial contributions to our vote. That's precisely what we're doing. We're saying that our remittances are higher than FDI. FDI has been very low in Zimbabwe. So we are saying if we are contributing, one, it is our constitutional right, but more than that, right? More than that, we are contributing significantly to this economy. We get taxed when we spend the money. The government gets money from Western Union, MoneyGram, all of those businesses, they pay tax in Zimbabwe. We pay tax when our families spend money in Zimbabwe. So the idea that we need to pay an additional tax is off the table. We are already contributing significantly to the economy. One of the things I've said is let's have 2 weeks of a blackout of the diaspora not sending money to Zimbabwe, and then you see what happens, right?
I would say, I would support in the game Yamauya Nayo, Yekuti Vakomana, Ngatimboitai blackout, not 2 weeks, for 2-3 months. Then I would support, I think you can go to impact, but Yekuti voter, I'm not sure. Yekuti Vakomana blackout, but Jandoza Jekuti blackout, Imima Ilenuachar, what I'm talking about Marikutu and Pata. Vangu Vachar, what I'm talking about Marikutu and Pata. That's the problem.
I think I differ with both of you. Sorry, just a quick one. I don't know. You are complicating matters. By the Constitution, right? You don't need to justify contribution financially. It is in the Constitution.
And I agree with you on that 100%. I was just responding.
Every citizen, if you are a citizen of Zimbabwe, by birth, by descent, right? You've got the right to vote.
Absolutely.
Don't even try to argue about the financial aspect of it. It is not in the Constitution. And ZANU knows it. And they are not saying that you are not allowed to vote. They are not saying that. They are just saying they don't have money to fund the registration abroad. They don't have money to fund the voting process abroad. So I think let's dwell on how do we then convince them. Where are they going to get the money? Because they will continue to have money. That's what the problem is.
The Nigerian government.
Okay. What people hold. Muruguti, Nigerian government managed to do it.
The Nigerian government came back to the Nigerian diaspora with that same argument and said, hey, look, we can't afford this. And the Nigerian diaspora said, you can afford this. The cost of having us vote at the embassies in countries where the systems are already in place is not that high, right? It is not that high. And what they did in Kenya was to say, okay, we can't have everyone, we can't have voting in every place. But what we can do is each place where there are more than 3,000 Kenyan citizens, we will set up polling stations. Where there are more than 3,000 Kenyan citizens, we will set up polling stations. So when we say the diaspora vote, we're not saying they should have polling stations in every single city in the world. No, there are strategic places in London, in New York, in Texas, in Johannesburg. There are strategic places. It's not going to be that expensive.
Just beside the point, and did my ambassadors are making Muchino voter, there's ZANU PF. How safe be your votes?
Our votes are safe. Look, that's why I keep saying, Kutishona, our right to vote, right?
No. Makasta vote. Kana makasta vote anditiga. Munota mpegiriari anditi. Anotakura kunana roku Zimbabwe ndiani.
Yeah. Mukanya mabvunza wakanaka. Let me tell you the way it works. The way it works in the Yoguti, at the embassy, there will be a representative, right, of the major political parties. They have the right to, at every polling station, they've got the right to have a representative there. And then you count at the polling station, right? So, for example, I represent MDC, I will be there, and then I get the results and send those results to our command center in Zimbabwe. So even if that bag doesn't reach there, they know we would have signed, countersigned, each officer will countersign the results. That's how it works. Even in Zimbabwe, that's what it should be.
Okay, right. Okay, go ahead.
Ndokumbira kumbopindura mukanya imimi soko imimi mukanya zvamuri kutaura muri kuti here isusu takatogara topeta maoko topfunya rusero toti atoluza nenyaya yekuti tinoziva kuti pane maobstacles ese aripo aya ndoku maobstacles aripo
aiwa zvandikutaura ndezvekuti I think handingasapota yekuita blackout because maybe vangatomboteerera kana mari isina kupinda mumusha mavo. I think iyoyo ine punch kudarika chero handisi kuti musarambe muchienda nayo endai hanyu mberi, but I think kuti zive nepunch kuita blackout yamamutaura iya yekusenda mari kuZimbabwe. But problem iripo ndeyekuti hama dzedu uku dzinenge dzichitambura, saka kuti nditi DJ Sodza vasatumire mai vavo vachida kuenda kuchipatara mari panganetsei pa.
Can I just say something there, DJ?
Right.
I think we should not confuse Zimbabwe with other countries like Nigeria, Kenya, and so forth, where there is the system, the electoral system there is fairly transparent and people can see what is happening. When somebody talked of elections is a game of numbers, we've just given you an example. In 2008, Changirai got 73%. And then after 5 weeks of counting, just over 5 million votes, that was reduced to 47. So where is the games of numbers there? As long as you can have all your people to vote, they do the counting and they will say that number is X. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
There was involved, I don't know whether he may have been involved in the 2008 elections. They did that, but ZANU-PF was still able to rig the elections. So in this particular case, what we could be looking at is a situation where we are saying to the UN, you cannot spend all this money like they've done in the past. At the end of the day, the result is questionable or is disputed. Let's sort out the issue of intimidation, corruption, and vote rigging, so that we have a result that everybody can say, yes, that is the true reflection of the people's will. That will be gauging the same UNDP in an immediate to address an immediate need.
Okay, come a little bit.
Okay. Money for diaspora vote.
Hold on, guys.
Is when you know the election is not going to be free and fair, and then at the end of the day you say, no, the election was rigged. I mean, what have you achieved then?
Okay, all right. Mukoma Wilbert, please hold, guys. Now, for those that are just joining us, thank you so much. You can, just sense the discussion we've got here. It's a very passionate debate, and people would like to say what they have to say, and that's the healthy part of the debate. I've got other callers that have been waiting for a long time there, and I know Australia or I could hear you laughing at other people there when they were trying to put their points across. I know probably you've got an opposite view to what other people are saying here. Now, let's go back to the issue that we are talking about today. We are talking about diaspora vote. These guys here in America, we've got Dr. Dendere there. They are initiating a diaspora vote. What they are doing is there's a petition which is going around for people to sign, and it will be presented to the people in power there in Zimbabwe that actually the diaspora would like to cast their vote. And the question was, they say, well, the government will say we haven't got money to facilitate that. But then we are now told that actually that money doesn't come from the Zimbabwean government. It comes from somewhere else. That's where we need to go and tell them that, listen, we need to vote, so we need funding to facilitate diaspora vote. Vamoyo, what's your take on this issue? You're just focusing on nothing here. Focus on something else other than a diaspora vote. It's not going to bring anything on the plate. But some are saying every little helps. Kunoku UK, kune shop in Tesco. If you go in there, you buy something, you get some points, and every little helps. You can get a free token tomorrow to buy a loaf of bread. So, Vamoyo, what would you like to say on the diaspora vote issue?
Firstly, I don't think that there's an issue that is worth any debating at all.
Okay.
Because we know it is not going to be implemented. The government has positions already on that, and there's no way. I mean, the diaspora can actually influence that policy position. And the petition we're talking about, this is a complete, to me, it's a complete waste of time, because after the people have signed, then what? To me, I mean, there's no sense.
So right, Vamoyo Murkuti, it's a dead end. Why do you say that?
I mean, we can write a petition, but how do we make it effective? How do we implement it? And the people that some people are suggesting that they are funding, no one has been funding elections in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
The elections have been funded by the Zimbabweans themselves.
Okay, by the taxpayer.
That is not
remember,
true. We give a lot of money for it.
Hold on, Wamoyo.
Remember in
hold on, Wamoyo. Regai mpindirwe kune vari kutaura kuti vanoziva kuti zvamuri kutaura is not correct.
Okay.
Yes, pindurai zvenyu.
I was going to say that Zimbabwe, like most African countries, has received substantial funding for elections from the UN and other organizations. So just after that, we do get financial help for our elections. We're even getting help from UNDP right now for the biometric data process. So we do get help.
Right.
Okay. How much did we get for the 2008 and 2013 elections? How much came from there?
Let me pull up the exact numbers for you.
Okay, you don't have to. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Vamoyo, are you telling me that you have said that we don't get a penny from outside? Are you agreeing with the sister now that we get something from outside?
No. I cannot agree with something that is not existent.
Okay.
The reality of the matter is, remember in 2013, there was a tussle between DSC and ZANU-PF. When Tendai Biti, being the Minister of Finance, was arguing that the elections could not go ahead because there was no money. And I think it was with about a month to go before the elections, when even people were arguing that we cannot prepare for these elections because there is no money. And the United Nations, they once came and proposed that they needed to fund the elections, but they needed to allow some certain observers to come in as a condition to the money that they were supposed to provide. And when the government told them point blank that they were not going to accept any other observers other than ones that the government had already said they want, and the money was made available and not from any outside. And if there was any money that came from outside, please tell us the figures and when the money came. And that is not...
Okay. Vamoyo, the whole biometric system is being funded by UNDP, right? 2018 elections, the whole process is being funded by UNDP, right? I am talking as a representative of MDC, where the opposition parties have now been integrated in exact discussion processes, right? So this is not
but the question
thing.
The question remains. I'm saying in 2013, how much did we receive?
No, I'm not.
No, we are not getting into that. Okay.
Okay. We can't get, because definitely no money came there. So what we are now talking about now, when we say this will
I have the numbers.
Yes, the numbers have been digged out.
From the UNDP, there was an approval of an estimated $250 million to support the Zimbabwean elections. In 2016, where we had submitted a request, but 250 million, that's for 2013.
No, sister, what you are talking about is an approval. I said, how much was then sent to Zimbabwe? This is the question.
We can,
and when you talk about approval, this is exactly what I'm saying.
You know why that number is important? The number is important because our government needed 130 a successful election. He was offering $250 million for the election.
I have already said that the United Nations, the UNDP, had actually said they were going to provide this funding. They said they were supposed to be allowed some certain observers. The government rejected that money did not come. In fact, Tendai Biti himself, with about a month to go before the elections, the government had rejected that. And then remember, Patrick Namasa was the Minister of Justice at that time, but he is the one who was responsible for funds. Tendai Biti confirmed that there was no money available. Tendai Biti himself confirmed that. So money, yes, some money was. You are saying it was approved.
Us money, right? If someone gives us money for the money, free and fair conditions that every country gets. No money coming in to assist the election. So the reason we were responding because the government money, and we're pointing out, no, there is plenty of money. People care about democracy. There's plenty of money to support elections.
Can I?
Right. Please, please.
I think we are losing the point here. The diaspora, Zimbabweans are entitled to it, whether or not it's like somebody else.
Know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
Join DJ Sodza and his informative team live every Thursday at 9 p.m. UK time, discussing Zimbabwean politics.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are listening to DJ Sodza live on Zimnet Radio.
Mambo waru domu fudzi rudomdu ramosese andizombo shaichiro ndiriwa ponarini Mambo waru domu fudzi rudomdu nduramo
Right, sorry guys, we need to have a debate there.
So that you can also give us a chance to speak.
I'm coming to you now, yes, because otherwise you're not going to get any chance. That's why I have to stop people.
But I hadn't finished the guy.
Chief Sose.
Yes.
What's your
as a person who is part of NERA, as a person who can also speak on behalf of NERA, everything that will make the majority of the people, of the Zimbabwean people, exercise their democratic right. However, we have to be very careful in asking and advocating for the diaspora vote. We cannot just without guts. Things that we have to take into cognizance and into consideration before we talk about the diaspora vote, because we might actually be driving ourselves or walking ourselves into a lion's den. The diaspora vote can actually, give instruments or give room for ZANU-PF to rig the vote even more. Right now, as we are speaking, as NERA, we are doing the mapping program in Zimbabwe. We were told a day before the program was supposed to start. The mapping program, we are supposed to, ZEC and NERA are supposed to be going together to verify places where they set up. But ZEC told us asking us obviously not to attend, and they also told us that they were not going to give NERA money to go and do that, and NERA had to get the money to be there. So we actually missed the first day of mapping program, which is a very crucial part of the election, because we have heard of bogus polling stations. That is when they are set up. That is ZEC and ZANU-PF would decide that we are going to have a bogus polling station here. If there is no NERA, if there are no people who are double checking what they are doing. So now I can tell you that NERA is on the ground. Money was sent to NERA, and 4 officials from NERA are moving around with ZEC to ensure that there are no bogus polling stations. So all these things that are being done right now in Zimbabwe should also apply to wherever we want the diaspora to vote to be done from. If it is in South Africa, if it is in America, if it is in the UK, we have to ensure and we have to make sure that when we demand that, we also demand things or safeguards that ensure that ZANU-PF will not take advantage of the diaspora vote and rig the vote even more. And when they do that, we won't even have a chance, we won't even have anything or any excuse to give to the international community, because we would have asked for the diaspora vote and we would have been given it. I know in South Africa they are already doing that. They've asked the government to allow them to vote in South Africa. And the government, like they always say, they don't have money. And the people in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabweans in South Africa, are busy gathering money, getting money right now to ensure that they put everything in place so that they are allowed to vote there. But like I said before, we have to demand the diaspora vote with specific safeguards that ensure that there are neutral people who are there are people who verify the facilities, there are people, technical people who check the equipment and everything. And even then, when the votes are being counted, whether they are going to be counted at the embassy or they are going to be sent back to Zimbabwe, we have to ensure that we have those in place when we are demanding or as we demand for the diaspora vote. Otherwise, it will be a disaster.
Otherwise, it will be a disaster. Thank you so much, Vasoshe. Now, Dr. Denden.
Yes.
Yes. Mungada, can you tell our listeners again how they can access the petition and where they can find it and where you are going to take the petition to, and when do you intend to take this petition to? Is there a due date that people should have signed by such a date, and tell people where they can go and do it for well wishers?
So the first question is, where can you find the petition? We will we'll also share the link with you so you can put it on your website, and we put it on my Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, Dr. Dendere, and I have the link there, but it is change.org /Zimbabwean government. So if you go to change.org and you search for Zimbabwean diaspora vote, you will find it there. And when do we want to have this ready by? We were really hoping that by the end of the week we would have had about 1,000 signatures for us to begin having a serious conversation. So our target is not necessarily a date, although the sooner the better, by the end of this month. But we would like to get to, 2,000-3,000 signatures to really show that the diaspora cares about this. The diaspora is interested. It's not just myself and a few friends, but it's everyone together, regardless of their political party, regardless of different affiliations. We want everyone in the diaspora to buy into the diaspora vote. So my goal is 5,000 votes. If we can get 5,000 votes by January 31st, then we are moving forward and we're engaging the government, which we're already doing. So there are other things that we're working on that I can't talk about right now, but I want to assure you that this is not a standalone process. This is not just us signing a petition and then forgetting about it. This is part of a larger demand that we're going to give to the government.
DJ Soja.
And I have a question for you, Dr. Dendere. I have a question, just one question for Dr. Lendere.
Yes.
Thank you very much for this initiative. You know, we really want citizens who stand up and come up, you know, with initiatives like this one. Do you have any safeguards pertaining to the diaspora vote? I think I alluded to some of the technical issues that we have to take care of whenever people have to vote from outside their country. Have you taken into consideration that? Do you have them on your petition so that people know exactly what they're getting themselves into? Personally, coming from NERA, definitely want to have that information so that we can also help you to, you know, get people to sign the petition, especially if those safeguards are there.
And so I think we'll go ahead and edit the petition a little bit because we didn't put the language, which I realize now was a big omission, to say that we care about the electoral reforms, we care about a free and fair voting process, but we are also, and we're working on a number of things for which, you know, I haven't asked the group for permission to speak on those particular things. But let me assure you that as the diaspora, we're not sitting back and saying, hey, we're signing a petition, it's going to go. We are going to be actively involved. I think for our solutions talk, we're going to have someone from NERA coming in as one of our speakers, so you can tell us more specifically the issues on the ground and the things that we need to think about. We are also very much aware that elections cost money. So this is something I write about in my own work, that no one wants to talk about money in politics, and yet we know that money matters for politics, right? So we're talking very actively about the kind of candidates that we want to support. So those candidates that are already in Zimbabwe, that are running for office, whom do we want to support? I am working very closely as part of Women for Women, and again, with Women for Women, we're talking about engaging young people to participate. So all of these things are happening concurrently. So it's not like Sumetuma for 100, and each person is doing their own thing. No, it's part of a bigger strategy that's well thought out, that we cannot leave anything. We cannot leave anything untouched. But more importantly, we want more people to be engaged. Because look, Savannah and I and Promise and other people, we can think about things, but we're not gonna cover every corner. So we want other people to be engaged and come to us and say, hey, people, you're doing the petition, but I have an expertise in this area. Can we do this? Can we do that? So this is very young, but it's big in agenda, and we want more people to be engaged.
Okay.
Can I?
Now, okay. Ngatitei one pama questions. Vapedze batai makadaro. Vamoyo, you want to ask a question?
Yeah. Although that could have been part of my initial contribution, which was disrupted. What I'm trying to find out is how do we justify the need for somebody to vote when they are not in Zimbabwe? We are not in Zimbabwe, we are not staying there. Why do we think we deserve to vote?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Anybody.
Okay, well, as somebody who started the petition, I'm gonna let me read something for you. Our Constitution, Section 67.3 of the Constitution reads as following: every Zimbabwean who is of or over 18 years of age has the right to vote in all elections and referendums to which the Constitution or any other law applies, and to do so in secret, right? The moment we start asking if our right to vote is dependent on our contributions, then we're saying that an 18-year-old who just studied at UZ today, who has no money, who has no financial contributions, doesn't have the right to vote. We are starting to say that that widow that has no money, that's living in a rural area, does not have the right to vote. We are saying that the people who are disabled in our country and do not contribute financially to the country do not have the right to vote. So we should never, and I want you to quote me, we should never question our right to vote as citizens. This is our given right.
I never mentioned any financial attachments to that. I didn't do that. I did not say that.
Okay.
I simply said.
Vamoyo, I heard your question. Let me reiterate it. Dr. Chipo zirikunzi izvo, what gives you the guts living in America? Why do you want to vote of what's happening in Zimbabwe yet you are living pretty in America? That is the question.
But I'm not living pretty in America. Most of the diaspora are not living pretty in America. Most of the diaspora left our home country precisely because of failing economic and political conditions. We are actively
okay, ndikuya pamuri mukanya 1 second.
Ndakapatsira sisi vangu ava vari kunzvenga nyaya iri pachena. Sister, regai ndikubatsirei. Kana munhu wakagara kunze kwenyika hazvirevi kuti hauna right yekuvhota. Zvinhu zvinotori muconstitution yeZimbabwe. Vamoyo vari ku it's not about sitting pretty outside of the country. It's about kana iwe uchiri a Zimbabwean citizen, you have the right to vote wherever you are. Kumaz or whatever. I don't think there is anything to question about that.
Okay, so that question is answered, right?
Yeah, that question is just simply so as kuti aunga vote nekuti wakagara kupi. That's not a constitutional question to ask.
Okay.
The only problem there could you also have to have a responsibility for that country.
Okay, all right, okay, that's fine. We want to move on. Waphe, there you've got a question.
Mine was not a question but a suggestion to Varikuita put together that petition or promoting the petition. What you might also consider is, because the answer we know what they are going to say is that we don't have money. The other option would be that people in the diaspora, if we can come together and source the money, your petition should be to demand, to say, okay, you are saying you don't have money. What is the budget? What is it that you don't have to extend the voting process to the diasporans? Mm-hmm. Whatever the figure, they say it will cost us so much and we don't have the money. Then we can then focus and say, can we then look for that money in the diaspora? And then we can say, hang on, here is the money. The budget you said you don't have. No, I'm not saying giving it to ZANU-PF. I'm not saying giving it to ZANU-PF. I'm saying we need to demand from ZANU-PF what is that budget which they don't have, right? If the diaspora raise the money, then they've got the right to control it, because those people who are going to be managing the process will come to the diaspora, so they will get their allowances.
Saka vanhu ivavo vamonopa mari inofanira kuzopiwa kakwenengiri kune vanhu vari kumaneja kazvinhu zvacho kuZimbabwe.
What I'm saying is, you approach, whether we are approaching UNDP on the basis of the budget or an organization, but for us to argue on the budget, we need to know how much is that. What is that they can't extend to the diaspora? What is their budget?
Nyaya iri panapa ndeyekuti kana government yati madiasporans anofanira kuvhota, that becomes a responsibility of the government of the day to make sure every Zimbabwean ari kuvhota. We cannot go and raise money yekuti ti organize voting yedu. That doesn't make sense. Iyo government inofanira kuzonzi, okay, why don't you approach UNDP kuti muise those facilities together, but fundraising for yourself to run elections, that can be tricky.
But what I'm saying is, in a democratic country, a democratic process, what you are saying is true. All these other countries, it is the responsibility of the government to fund, but ZANU-PF is unwilling to fund. But to force it, we need for it to disclose what is it that they can't, what's the budget? And to find why is it that the UNDP is only funding.
How are you going to force it?
Sorry?
How are you going to force it?
No. I'm saying the petition that they are putting together and promoting, right? Within it, we know that they are going to say we don't have money. Yes, the constitution says you can vote, but we don't have money. Then these people, they need now to argue. Whoever is going to actually take the petition, who is going to communicate with the government, will then say, okay, fine. You said you don't have money. What is that budget that you don't have?
Yeah, DJ, I have a question for...
If they say they don't have money, what are you going to say? What's next?
Okay, fine. Okay, we have had what you are alluding to there. You want the diaspora to source the money if the government turn around and say they don't have money. Anyone with a question there, Chief Social?
Yes, Chief Social? First, I have an offer to Dr. Dendele. I have an offer to Dr. Dendele, and then I have a question. The offer is, as part of NERA, we are willing to come up with the technical safeguards that I was talking about and forward them to you so that you include them on the petition, so that the people of Zimbabwe, when they are signing up that petition, they exactly and really know what they are getting themselves into. That is if you are willing to, to accept those safeguards from us. And then my question is, as we talk about the diaspora vote and the elections for 2018, we also have to look at the environment in which we are going to vote in, especially in Zimbabwe. Are you guys also talking about or thinking about doing something about the electoral reforms? Because we can do everything that we do. We can ask for the diaspora vote. We can come into coalitions. We can, do everything. But if we don't have electoral reforms, if ZANU-PF doesn't enact electoral reforms, those elections will just be a takeaway for ZANU-PF. So are you doing something about the electoral reforms? And are you willing to work with organizations that are already there fighting for the same things that you are fighting for?
I think my response comes to the second part, is that we are certainly, and there are a few things in the works where we want to work with organizations on the ground that are already doing something. That's why I said earlier that we know that we know very little, right? We know very little about a big thing. We are a small part of the solution. So we want to work with people on the ground on what we can do to make sure that people feel safe to go and vote. One of the things that I've seen, even with the petition for people in the diaspora, is people would text me and say, people, you know what, ndoda kusaina petition, but it's South Africa, so, and for me, that's been a rude awakening in the sense that kana munhu ari kuno diaspora ari kutya kuisa zita rake papetition. What more someone who's at home? Whether or not this fear is real or imagined, but we've seen things that have happened. So we really need to think carefully about how we deal with the element of fear, the element of violence, campaigning, access to resources. I've spoken to young women who participated in the 2013 election as members of both MDC and ZANU-PF, and people talked about the unfair distribution of campaign funds within the parties. And we can't do anything about how the parties fund their candidates, but maybe we can do something about supporting the candidates who stand for things that we also believe in. So we acknowledge that we have a responsibility. Like someone said here, that democracy comes with a responsibility. And our responsibility is to be engaged, is to participate, and is also to put our
My final question for you, Vanjad. Zimbabweans have been abused, vakatorerwa mari, vakapuwa false hope, and even vakaitwa ma-initiative vakaabuswa, vanhu vakatuya kubatsirai and vakaitwa involved, vanhu vatotoziva isusu. How serious, the question is, are you not just going to abuse Zimbabweans the way they were abused Zinana Mawarire and all other these people, and at the end of the day, you get some money somewhere and you take off?
Inini, we haven't asked anyone for money. And let me give you an example of how committed the people that I'm working with, and this is a different organization, but She Votes, which is based in Zim, in Zimbabwe. Everything we've done, we had
It's
a
not
big...
Angela, it's not all about money. You can use this opportunity to advance your academic work or to advance your professional or to get other things no could benefit in your life.
And so I can't ask you to X-ray me and see what's in my heart, right? But I think that the moment we put ourselves...
Zimbabwean people, the reason why they are not coming is because they've been so frustrated, they feel abused, and from one person to another. So are you not just coming to eat the daily Zimbabwean as well?
Okay. Can I help you there, Asisi? I think Kanya have got to be fair. If we are going to ask people to participate in the politics of the nation, we can't all start asking them for their motive, because otherwise, if you are going to be suspicious of everybody, nobody's going to be involved in anything. And I think I applaud anybody who is taking an active role in Zimbabwe's political future, and particularly those in the diaspora who, for the fact that they are out of it. Most of the people who are out of the Zimbabwe now are saying they are out of it, they are not interested. And I think there are few Zimbabweans who are in the diaspora who are really taking an active and passionate interest in what is happening in Zimbabwe. And we must applaud that. If we're going to start questioning their motive, I think we've lost the plot.
I think Mkanya has...
Can I say something?
Okay, please hold on. Please hold on. Please hold on. Sally, you want to say something then?
Yeah, I want to say, personally, I have been advocating for the young people to get involved in politics in Zimbabwe, okay? For years, I have been begging them, all right? And I am just so glad. It doesn't matter whether the movement doesn't work out or whatever. I am just, because for every wrong step, for every one wrong step, 500 new ones are taken in the right direction. Okay? So for me, the more that the young people get into politics, the happier I am. And we have a duty. We are classed as the elders in brackets, okay? Some of us have wisdom, some of us just flap our gums, all right? We are the ones that are supposed to guide them and uplift them and try and protect them, okay? Not to, you've gone wrong there or you don't, no. We are there to guide them in the right direction. If they fail, it's because of us. Because of us, because us elders, okay, don't want to give up our seats to the younger generation. Okay? So if they fail, remember something. It's because the older generation didn't want to step back and take a second seat and rather be a guide and a helper and a protector. Okay? So, just listen to what I've said. These young people, I have begged to get involved for years. And now they're involved. Let's help them. Please, let's build them up. Let's guide them.
Yeah, going back to what Mkanya was saying, Mkanya had something valid here, in that the issue of petitions, well, I can tell you something for a fact, that this will come to naught. I mean, knowing things as I do, this whole thing eventually will die down and come to naught. We have seen these tides coming and dying, coming and dying, and this is just one of them, which is just coming up, and I can actually see how far it will go before it eventually dies and everybody forgets about it. Because what we are trying to do here is trying to buy the furniture that we are going to put in the beautiful castle that we are building in the sky. And we are hoping that we will be having the technology and everything else to build that castle in the first place before we put in the furniture that we are talking about. So Mukanya's statement was not wayward. It is something that is real and that is telling, because knowing fully well the effectiveness of a mere petition and all that, I can tell you for a fact that this is another attempt at publicity which will still die down in natural death in just course. Get it from me.
I think, Moyo, you have got to be fair as well, that it is your opinion that the petition will go nowhere. And let's not talk as if you are the God here. Nobody knows.
I'm not the God.
This petition may get somewhere. It may not get anywhere. But I think the fact that they are taking the initiative, we have got to applaud it. You know, if they fail, that is an experience. They've learned something from it. So I don't think you really have got to throw so much water on it. I don't think you're being fair there.
Being fair, okay.
Even if you know it's not going to get anywhere, it's not for you to really start throwing so much water on it to dampen it.
Let me just explain my situation. I'm not saying the petition should not go forward. I support the petition. But young people to be aware of and I want to warn them, there will be people, I'm just advising them. And I applaud them for what they are doing and try to consult Nema adults, who knows what's out there in the trenches. And I don't want them to, these are our future leaders, Dr. Niembe. Zimbabwe. We just don't want it to pour water on them. Kuti zvinizvi pane zvazvakamboitika nekuti kana kugara nakaona dzavamweka kana makuita kune kuvasikana kumaona makomba iwayayo zvengai muchidai vana vanenge vakambodai vakadai. I hope they will be able to talk kune vanhu vakambozviita, but not people who try to mislead them and abuse them, so that I just want them to be very careful with to make sure they don't get frustrated, because we don't want them to get frustrated, because if our young people get frustrated, then the country is dead.
Right. Okay. Hold on. Sorry.
Sorry?
Yes. Any final words you want to say?
Oh, I was going to say, I think what Sally said is so true, and what Mukanya said is also very true. We are, like I said, we know a lot about a few things, and there's so much we don't know, right? So even us, or coming on the radio show or doing different things, one of the things I did before we started the petition is to Google to see how many petitions. And you are right. Since 2000, there have been over 11 petitions that were started by Zimbabweans in abundance. So we've reached out to the people who founded those petitions. I've written to them, the ones with whom I could find their contact information, and I've written and I've said, we've also started a petition, and I see that you started one in 2005. Can you tell us more? What worked, what didn't, what can we do differently? So we are willing to learn. But we're not willing to just sit aside and wait. We think that our right to vote is important, but we are willing to learn. We are willing to work with everyone who wants to be a part of the process. On the question of how do I benefit, that's a fair question. Zimbabweans are very skeptical. Zimbabweans are law trusting because, as someone said, we are a people that's been abused, not just by the government, but by each other. We've abused each other. We've abused each other in various ways. And I was born after 1984. So there are things I know, there are things I don't know. But I'm not doing this, and I can say this right now, that I'm not doing this for my own. I will gain when people get the right to vote. I will write about it because I'm an academic, and there are not enough Zimbabwean academics who are writing about this. Our stories are often written by people who are not us. So I will not be here and lie to all of you that I will not write about this. I think we should all be writing about this. I think we should all be writing our stories. But you guys are here, and you will hold me accountable, right? You will. Zimbabweans are very good at holding people accountable. So the moment I go into the public arena, I know that you will be watching me, you will be... But we also hope, as Sally said, that there are more of you who will be kind, who will be willing to give advice, who will be gracious, and who come to us and say, hey, Chipo, hey, Savannah, I think Marasika apane up. What if you do it this way? Because we are willing to work with people. That's why we've had solutions talk, where people come in and we listen, and we ask questions, and we learn. So I think this assumption that we are in it for popularity, I'm not a person who enjoys social media popularity. Maybe other people do, but I really don't. So, hold us accountable, but be supportive, right? Give us advice, like genuine, constructive advice. But I'm not going to listen to people that say to me, oh, Chipo, I can tell you that in 5 days your petition will be dead. There's nothing that will come out of what you guys are doing. That's not fair.
Okay, right. Okay.
Right. Soto, can I just say something to Dr. Farinzai? Okay. Dr. Farinzai, I watched your interview on Facebook with the Harare City Council, was it?
Oh, that's Fazai. That's not me.
Hey, was that you?
No, that was Fazai. That wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you something. She was absolutely brilliant. We need lots more of that. Well done. Congratulations.
Okay, right. Zvisinei muri Zimbabwe, it's 5 minutes after midnight. Kunoku United Kingdom. Our time is up. We got to stop here. But before we go, I just wanted to tell you what I've just had. I've just been speaking to Mbuya. He's telling me that Sekuru is flown to America. He has been invited to Washington together with his friend Nigel Farage. They've been invited there to the inauguration of His Excellency President President Trump, who will be sworn in tomorrow, and we wish him well there. I wish him very well. With that note, Zimbabwe, let me also tell you that next week I will not be around. I've got a very important meeting that I'll be attending, but nevertheless, DJ GV3, my brother, will be taking care of business. So please do come in and participate on the show next Thursday. In podcast. There you have it. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourselves and, of course, your loved ones. I love you all. My name is DJ Soza. My thanks to those who have participated on the show, and we will see you kuseri kwa kuseri. For those who would like the podcast will be available from Saturday. I'm sure Sally will put it on YouTube. It should be on YouTube probably latest Sunday. All you just have to do is go on YouTube and type my name there, DJ Soza, and all the shows will be there, including this one. And for those who are posh, who have got these iPhones and all these iPads, you can download our app, Zimnet Radio, and the app will have the podcast as well from Saturday. Thank you so much. I will see you again in 2 weeks' time. Goodbye. Hey!
musoro wangu bona wazorwa mukombe wasara engarese mambo rudo onagarudo nduramo sese andiso zombosha ichiro inindiri wabona enzi wangu rudo rwako nomutsashe zvanditevera kwese inzwa ahapo ndichi rimupenyu kudai ndiri wakona baba vangu mambo
We have listened to better music. We have seen better things. We've been to it all. Zimnet Radio all the way.
Onakana apoka kana narasika mumuka kana worufu una chimbo yako no mudo donjo sinobo ndinya mambo orudo aiwa rudo ndura andizo shaichiro ndiriwa iwewe wakadzirira tafura mberi kwemandu dzangu baba musoro wangu wazorwa mukombe wazarazve mambo rudo mufudzi manga rudo nduramo andizo shaichiro ndiriwa mambo rudo mufudzi rudo nduramo andizo shaichiro